What up, B Squad? It's me, JB, and I am here today, you guys, with a brand new review for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 7, Episode 8. And the episode was titled, if I'm not mistaken, it's Pins and Needles, you guys. So before we can just jump into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel, and you guys aren't subscribed yet, I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking out on this date and then having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and also by turning on your post notifications, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's discuss Tyler Perry's Sistas, shall we? All right, you guys, so I'm a little on the annoyed side because I've already recorded this and the video is completely gone, you guys, but that's neither here nor there. This episode, we open up and we see Andy. So Andy is meeting with a guy who she went to law school with, right? And this guy has done some digging for her. So he let her know that you guys remember in the previous episode when Penelope found that passport of Gary's. Well, that's what this is dealing with, the passport that Gary had. So the guy is telling her that, you know, the information in that packet, like I had to go far and wide. Tina had to go to the DOJ. He had to do all kinds of things to get this information for Andy. So he's warning Andy to run away from Gary because Gary is scary. But we all know that Gary is scary, right? So he also told her that the stuff with Jordan, it absolutely checks out in Jordan's favor, right? We all knew that Jordan had no relations with that woman, that Gary paid off that police officer and the woman to say that she had a relationship with Jordan, which even in that particular moment, I didn't understand, like, how is this going to even go over? Because there was no paper trail of it. So I was confused as to how that was going to work. So I'm glad that that is wrapped up and that's done, right? So we don't have to go too deep into that. Meanwhile, Fatima comes into Andy's office to let Andy know that there's a lady by the name of Marie there. And Marie is there because she's getting ready to go through a divorce. Well, she's going through a divorce and she's not ready to, push the button on having Andy be her attorney. But she wants Andy to be her attorney. But in a nutshell, she wants Andy to prove herself to her that she should be her attorney. And I'm like, okay, I guess if that's what you want to do, right? She also lets her know that she is, works with, Jordan. And she believed Jordan when he said that he had no dealings with that woman, right? Because I'm assuming that Marie's husband is cheating on her. And I guess she can spot it if that were the case, right? So that's that. We'll pause here and we'll move forward. Now, we move over to Sabrina, you guys. And remember, Sabrina is going through this journey of IVF, right? And so on this journey of IVF, she's doing the egg they do egg harvesting, they freeze eggs and all that kind of stuff. But it's a hormone, it's a hormone shot, right? And they have to do so much extensive stuff, and Sabrina had no idea that. So as she's leaving, she runs into Karen, who's coming down for the DNA test, right? And so, Sabrina is telling Karen about this process with the IVF. And I was like, so you've never heard women, I mean, you could have got on TikTok, you could have got on YouTube, you could have done a lot of research to find out that the IVF journey is not one that is enjoyable, but it is what it is, right? So Sabrina asked Karen, like, what are you doing here? And Karen was like, I'm here for a checkup. And she's like, but you just had a checkup. And then she finally told her that she's there for the DNA test for for Fatima, right? And so after that, what happened after that? That was really pretty much it with their scene. Sabrina was gonna stay with Karen, but she's like, no, Zach is coming. So then we move over to the law office and we see Hayden's little punk ass, right? So he's coming into the office and he's trying to figure out, like, why is there so much security in the office? And Fatima was like, mind your business, because he was asking, like, who's in Andy's office? She was like, that ain't got nothing to do with you. But then she saw that they were getting up to come. She's like, you know what? You will see who that is. So he sees that it's Marie because he was asking, he's like, why is she in? Actually, he saw her. And he's like, wait, Marie, what is she doing in there with Andy? And she's like, you can ask them for yourselves when they come out. So Andy and Marie came out of the office, and Hayden tried to introduce himself to Marie. And Marie was like, yeah, nah, little nigga, I ain't got time for you. Get the fuck out of my way. And basically, shoe flies shoe, right? And after she left, he wants to mess with Fatima and Andy. And it's like, dude, have you not learned your lesson? Neither here nor there, don't really care. So Fatima let Andy know that Karen is having the DNA test done today, right? And so Andy was like, well, why don't you take the rest of the day off? And she was like, are you sure? She was like, yeah, go ahead and take the rest of the day. You're fine. Now, let's pause here and move forward. All right, guys, so a scene that was weird to me was this scene with Gary and Tamira. So Gary went to a hotel room, right? Tamira opens the door. Tamira is asking Gary, like, how did you get my number and why did you call me, talking about your dick? He was like, because you want it. And I was like, Gary, go to hell, right? And she's like, no, you want me. And then I'm thinking to myself, Tamira, why are you entertaining Gary? I just was so confused by that. Like, why are you entertaining him? But that's neither here nor there. She's entertaining him. I was over it. I was annoyed, but it is what it is, right? Go to hell. Get this shit off of my television screen, pretty much, basically, right? Now, he's talking to Tamira, telling Tamira, we can't tell Hayden about this. And they proceed to have sex. Now, what I did notice in that scene was so if you guys noticed the nightstand, right? On the nightstand, there was a cell phone, and then also there was this pen, right? And I was like, one of those devices is recording this situation that's going on here, because they definitely started having sex, right? So I was like, one of these is recording. I thought it was the cell phone that was recording, right? But then they finished and Gary's phone rang. So I was like, maybe it wasn't the phone that was recording, because it was Gary's. And then when Gary left, Tamira got the pen. I was like, Here's the thing. Granted, I can't stand Hayden, right? But I was thinking to myself when I watched this, it's like, I feel like they both were tricking each other and recording the other person, right? Because they were placed right beside each other by the bed. Now, the question that I have is with Gary and Tamira, how do y'all each respectively use that against the other? Because y'all both were in bed with each other. It's not like Tamira was in bed with another man that Hayden doesn't know, and it's not like, so neither one of y'all would come out of that unscathed, so to speak. That's my thoughts, but let me know what you guys think, right? Now, we move over to Danny. So Danny is in a therapy session, and she's telling the therapist how at this point her life is a wreck, right? And so she's letting the therapist know that, my boyfriend's kids are here. I went to my boyfriend's office, and, I was trying to have a midday rendezvous, basically. And so the woman was like, so what happened? She said his badass kids were there, and they saw him. But Danny, that's on you. Like, granted, I might find Tony a little creepy, but that was on you. No one told you. You were supposed to be at work. He's at work. You know what? Maybe it's a little bit on both of them, right? Because let's not forget that Tony did go behind her workstation and proceed to, pleasure her, so with his mouth. So never mind. So I guess I can't really blame Danny 100%. So then the therapist asked Danny, like, what are you afraid of? So Danny tells her she's afraid of, the kids not liking her. She also told her, then she started talking about different movies, right? I think she started talking about Acrimony, because I had to listen to it and I was like, that sounds so familiar. When she said that, I'm afraid that, me and him might get married. The ex-wife comes up on a boat and then on the boat and shoots us. I was like, wait a minute, that's Acrimony. Then she said, talking about the kids probably trying to get the parents back together. I'm like, either you're talking about, that movie wasn't the kids trying to get the parents back together. That's a difference, and that's different. I was like, are you talking about The Parent Trap? Because I thought she was talking about It Takes Two, but then I was like, nah, It Takes Two was, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. They didn't know that they were separated at birth, and Mary Kate was an orphan. Ashley, never mind, neither here nor there. She was talking about movies. Just suffice it to say, right? She was talking about movies. Now, let's pause here and move forward, you guys. Now, next up, we moved back over to the hospital. So Zach came to the hospital. He brought food for Karen because they're going to be there for quite some time. And, Karen is telling him, I know I told you that it was just going to be a swab of your cheek, but they're going to actually have to draw blood. And I know how you are. And she was like, so are you going to be okay? And Zach like, I'm fine. She was like, Zach, I know you. So, they were having a conversation. They were talking about the baby. And, Zach was rubbing Karen's belly. While he was rubbing Karen's belly, who walked in? Fatima. You guys remember Karen told Fatima don't show up. But I knew my girl Fatima wasn't going to let Karen tell her what to do, right? So after that, we see as Karen is in her feelings. Zach is apologizing to Karen, and Fatima's looking at him like, why are you apologizing to her? And he was like, she's like, we talked about this. I was like, so you talked about this with Fatima? I was like, so Zach, got yourself in a conundrum, basically. So the nurse came back, and she got Zach and Fatima. They went back there. He was a big baby when it came to drawing the blood. Then we move over to Andy. So Andy went to go see Jordan, right? Andy is thanking Jordan for sending Marie her way, and she's letting him know that, she apologizes for not believing him. And in my previous video that I don't have anymore, I talked about this, right? I get the fact that Andy has some reluctancy because of her relationship with Gary and everything that she's had to endure with Gary, right? I understand it. The thing I have a question of is, how would you guys feel, right? Because that says that you don't trust him, right? That you believed that he would do that. But then again, he's an NFL player. He was a player in the NFL. So even if he was a low-level NFL player, this is a big story. And there wouldn't have been any way they could have hit this. Like, this is a huge story. So I get it, but how would you guys feel? How would you guys feel if you were Andy, and how would you guys feel if you were Jordan? Jordan wasn't that upset with Andy, and I was like, okay, I guess. If he ain't upset with her, I guess. Now, we'll pause here and move forward, you guys. All right, you guys, so next up, we got Hayden. So Hayden went to go see Gary. And Gary is looking at him like, basically, you doing here, right? And I was like, oh, what a rude-ass person. Isn't he your attorney? Don't you still have the FBI breathing down your neck? I would think you would be nicer to someone, but this is Gary that we're discussing, right? So Hayden noticed that Gary has a hickey on his neck, right? And he's like, oh, you don't put it down on. I was like, he put it down on your lady. He put it down on your wife, right? But that ain't got nothing to do with me. Now, Hayden is asking Gary for help with bringing down Andy, right? Because he told Gary about Marie being at the office and wanting to work with Andy, right? Gary knows her because she's invested money in his company. And what I will say with the writers, I hope that y'all don't go too far away from that storyline of, the FBI. I hope y'all don't go away from it, right? Because the thing I had a question about when he said Marie has invested money, I was like, but you're running a Ponzi scheme. So, with the Ponzi, she might not be involved in it. She might not be involved in it, but that would mean she's lost money in the Ponzi scheme. But she wouldn't know about it. Never mind. Because I don't know too much about Ponzi schemes, but I know people do lose their money and they never get it back, right? But hey, neither here nor there. So Gary is talking about the fact that he's going to have a conversation with Marie. I was like, oh, okay. Basically saying to tell Marie who she's potentially going to work with. Now, the thing I will say is, if Marie wants to get a divorce, like I would have said this if I were Andy, because when she was basically like putting Andy through a test. And I would say, if I were Andy, I would be like, if you want to work with me, we can work together, right? But I'm not going to jump through no hoops. I'm one of the best divorce attorneys in the city. So if you want to go find someone else, then you go find someone else, but you're not going to find anybody better than me. And obviously she's done her research because she went to Andy. What is he going to tell her about Andy? The fact that they slept together and he was a married man, that ain't got nothing to do with her getting the divorce. That ain't got nothing to do with Andy's professional life. Has nothing to do with it. Speaking of Andy, Andy called Fatima to let Fatima know, like, hey, I know that with this whole situation with Gary, he's the one that was behind hiring the cop, and he's one behind hiring the cop. He's the one that, hired the woman to say that she had the relationship with Jordan. Then I also have this stuff on him. Like, I can bring Gary down if I want to. And I was like, well, how about you bring Gary all the way down? So Fatima wants to come and help, be backup for when she talks to Gary. And he was like, I'm okay. I was like, no, you're not okay, girlfriend. You're not okay at all. Like, So Fatima was like, girl, the dumb hoes say it all the time too. And look at them, they not here with us. So I was like, exactly. Like, hell no, Andy. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. So not Sabrina, but Fatima said, you know what, girl? I'm going home. I'm getting the bag. I'm coming up. I was like, amen, Fatima. Now, let's pause here and wrap up the episode, you guys. All right, you guys. So lastly, let's talk about, and this is all going to wrap up with Karen. So you guys, Trey went back to the salon. He didn't have a delivery for Karen, but he just went to go see if he was wrong with what he said to Karen. And Pam was there with her bad acting self, right? God, she is such a terrible actress. Beautiful girl, but terrible actress. Hate to say it, right? So he left eventually, and then Aaron called. I was like, oh my God, not Aaron, you guys, not Aaron. Like, I thought we were done with Aaron. So Aaron just wants to check on Karen. I was like, oh God, go to hell. Now we move over to Sabrina and Danny. They're talking, right? Danny is drinking during the day, and she's telling Sabrina about what happened with therapy. So then Sabrina's telling Danny how she saw Karen down at the doctor's office, and as she's getting the DNA test done. And so they feel like Karen is being secretive. And I was like, you, Danny, of all people, have no room to talk about anything secretive when you had a conversation with Zach that you still ain't related to Karen. No matter how I feel about Karen, you were wrong for that situation, right? Now, moving over to Gary. Gary brought his smug ass over to Andy's place. He was all smug. And then he went down to the hill when he saw Fatima. He was like, damn. I was like, exactly. She's like, Gary, if you try anything, I will go in my bag on your ass. I was like, Fatima, let's just go in the bag on him right now. I'm like, let's do it. So Andy lets Gary know, she knows that he's been stalking her. I was like, so if you know that, why were you willing to have him come to your apartment alone? And then at one point he let her know that this is my place. You wouldn't have it if it wasn't for me. Well, it's in her name, motherfucker. So shut up, Gary. Like, y'all know how Gary gets on y'all know Gary gets on my nerves. Can't stand the bastard, right? So Andy's telling him, you basically, I know you lied on Jordan. He said you have no proof of that. She says, I need you to leave me and Jordan alone, or I'm gonna blow your life up and leave Penelope alone, or she'll expose him, right? And then the end of the episode, you guys, Karen. So Karen went to the doctor. She's still at the doctor's office, and I knew that needle to poke into the amniotic sac, I knew it was a long ass thing. I've saw it before on daytime television, right? So this storyline that they're coming up with, it literally comes from Days of Our Lives, because I've saw this play out before. So Karen is pregnant with twins, you guys, and the sacs it's two different sacs. So the babies are not sharing, they don't share the same sac. So these twins come from two different eggs, meaning they have two different fathers. Now, do you guys believe that? What I think it is I think Zach is the father of one twin, and I think Aaron is the father of the other twin. But that's the episode, you guys. Please let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. turn on your post notifications, and share the video, you guys. And until the next time, stay safe out there, you guys. Take care of yourselves, wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.